Opinions do not in any way represent those of MaiTV, MaiTV staff, and or any contributors to MaiTV.
The communication, the better
If the
the
husband
family.
and wife relationship is good, regardless of what the children will face, the family will face, we have the capacity, we have the ability to go over any mountain, to go through any valley, and to go through any storm or weather that we face in this life.
Program are solely those of the original authors and their contributors. These views and opinions do not in any way represent those of MaiTV, MaiTV staff, and or any contributors to MaiTV.
The communication, the
If
better
the
the
husband
family.
and wife relationship is good, regardless of what the children will face, the family will face, we have the capacity, we have the ability to go over any mountain, to go through any valley, and to go through any storm or weather that we face in this life. Ni sambulo binaka na turangan na marama dorbo na ngonelewa na mataka ni singa ni kuha na family table talk.
Bulvinaka.
Vi mama ni vitu na vi bakarawai do ya na tupiki mami na singa fakanaki. Sawa kambula tiwani weekend na turangan na marama dorbo na ngonelewa sana tininga ba ni nondo banua vi korokoro au kila ni levo do tali takamai na program binaka ngo dabe tuwa mato bale do bekana na noni moli se domboi ngun sitsi ko mataka ni singa ni kuha kero sawa kambula tiwani. Sekatana ni ngule da weekend na barong tumai na biya sa iburo-buro so weekend na Pacific Pasifika o Tonga o Samoa barong tumai Vanuatu New Caledonia ibay Solomon ni Papua New Guinea Australia ke New Zealand ni bulaminaka may nabuno libo ko Amerika si Canada o kila na biaro tatu na tinikaro na kaloko sendua na kaloko iya si singa baka rombo ito nga sawa kang bula tukani bong lebu na puno baka Europe ni bula binaka sabi kinda baka tukani family table talk and mataka ni singa denday.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. We're saying greetings, like what Gasilev has just mentioned in It Okay, to all those of you that have been part of this program every Saturday morning. If you have your cuppa or even just waking up lazy to stand up, just sitting on your bed, watching through your phone, we would like to welcome you this morning. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening in. So today we'll go straight into the normal conversation that we have, like it's a family table talk. Navita Lanoa. ni matapubale en del teveli na non da vita lotta na vika ambulna ramba na vika tarana non da bulba matapubale ka keroba kambote totowata for everybody regardless of the country that you stay or live in, regardless of the corners of the earth that you stay and live in, we are all faced with the same most of the time we're faced with the same issues when it comes to the family, because it takes a man and a woman, you know, to meet and be married, and also after having your children, all those are part of the family. And even your extended family, like for your parents, they are still here with you. Some of us have passed on, but most are still having their parents. So all that are part of the family.
Yeah. And the problem that we face varies. So we want to talk about today the decision that you will make, or the decision that you made. What you're receiving today, what you're facing today, is the decision from yesterday. So if you want to change what you face tomorrow, then you have to change your decision today and make it the right one.
Yeah.
So we are not here as a taltala. We are not here as trying to correct your life. We will talk about issues that we face, every one of us, every families, whether in the village or in the urban centers or overseas. The problem that we face, the issues that we go through every day, challenges, mountains, maybe problems that we face, it's all the same. And when we talk today, something that can assist us or guide us when we face with the same problem. So the decision that we do, it's very, very important. As husband and wife, or as a person, or as a husband, or as a wife, or as a couple. The decision that you decide to go through, and that's exactly what you will face. And it's not easy. We are living in a world that is very challenging. You go to TV, you go to newspapers, there are a lot of challenges that the whole world is facing, not only here in Fiji, the whole world. So the decision that you have to make is very, very important.
Very important.
Yeah, very important.
And goes back to you, you know, your family set up at this point, or even for some of the children that are listening in, some of you have made decisions that is totally opposite to what your parents have advised from the beginning. So we are actually, or wherever you are, when you're tuning in this morning, you are experiencing, or you are the, you know, you're actually at the getting the product of the decision that you have made earlier in your life, like what you mentioned. Maybe it's your school, or maybe the friends that you have with you, or even the family that you have started, the wife that you have chosen to be, you know, spending your whole lifetime with, or even the husband. Sometimes we may hear counsel from our parents, but we make the decision that we want to make because of, you know, we love them, or you know, your desire and other things that are contributing factor to make you make the decision. Or even the decision that you made that after having your family and having your children, you still decide to go other way. You know, you're looking out and you go and start another family. That's a decision that you make. So the decision that we make not only affects you, not only, you know, define what you're going through right now, it actually sometimes, or most of the times, affects the people around you. So it's a decision to spend more time with your friends that takes you away from home. The decision that you cannot seem to balance your work life with your family time, and you spend so much time at, you know, in the workplace. It's good because at the back of your mind, okay, I have to work, and all this work that I'm doing, I'm getting more money, and this more money is for my family. So things that you think of that make you decide what you do in life, that sometimes we believe, and we want to share with us today, can take you away, or, you know, in the physical sense, from the very people that matters the most to you. And because we believe that family matters. And not only they're there because you end up with this family, or this is the children that you have made, and this is the family that you have become. And they're there, whether you like it or not, they're always there. And you continue to live your life knowing fully well that that's your family. You can come back at any time. You own them, like you're there. And sometimes we don't, you know, really think of the repercussions of the decision that we make to be away from them, on how the children grow up without seeing their fatherly figure or mother at home because they're always busy at work, goes back to the decision that we make. And the decision to, even some of you are actually listening in from, other countries, apart from Fiji. Those are the decisions that you make, to move overseas. And, maybe some of you go because of sports, a scholarship for your studies, and you stay on. Or some of you just decided, okay, we want to go and live abroad, and then you become your prayer item, you come in agreement, and those are the decisions that you make. So wherever you are at, it takes a decision made at one point in time, which goes back to what we want to share with you today. Since you know where the decision has taken you, whether it's good or bad, this is the time we believe that for you to, stand still and just take a moment to, to review where it has taken you. What can you do from there? If it's good, by all means, continue, because it takes you to another level of goodness. But if you know that it's, affect your family, affect your children, make you get into trouble, lost your job, or lost your family because of the decision for you to, commit extramarital affairs, or you're always away from home. So, those are the decisions that you make that make you be where you are at. And then you miss all these things around you, and you're looking back, and you ask yourself, what could you have done to change the situation that you were in? Or moving forward, wherever you're standing, what can you do or decide now, or the decision that you can make now to change where you're going and change your destination?
Yeah. One thing that is affecting your decision, one thing that influences your decision,
yes,
is the friends that you keep. Yeah. Going doon naka baka tako soba be buke tarada ke nanu mo baka tulo aki nanu mundingi balata na ibaka raw ni be tartar se na be kani se na Toorak se marama ke muni mula bata go indo naka mai baka baka buna sartunga na baka tulo ako zakaba lebuna ngone baka tautiko en ilawalaw ako mbulakina. Yeah. Kaya baka enda ng bulat ko nga baka ilawalaw lebuna non tan dingin-dingi se lebuna non ta baka tulowa abuta kitiko mai balata na ilawalaw ako tiko kina. Kaya bal saru bimbi sarga. Bimbi na ilawalaw the people that you keep around you makes a lot of influence into your decision making.
Yes.
And abuna lebuna ngone kita sindon decide for us or for our family because of the friends and the people that you
surround yourself with.
Yes.
Like the friends surround you. That can be work, church,
your
community.
Relatives, your friends.
Yes.
Yeah. Balta kiko nanti kita kangai tolu. Unti kita kangai tolu na nung ilawalaw. Sarang hiko. Kembali sa rimbimbi, na nung mga tulewa, kuhira karapole katiko sa ilawalaw. Iko pakatara mera may tikini no mumbulay.
Yeah.
Tiko mandangan nyo sa thorbo mai. Niko thorbo mai. Na nandingin di ko nang gaya kapay na numuwising ni mataka. Wilikin na nawatimu. Si Toorak sa marama.
Yeah.
Pagkatauti ko na ilawalawa, ay ko tiko mulikin na. Kembali sa rimbimbi saranga.
Yeah.
Na nabuno ako susung may kina.
Yeah.
Na ilawalaw ko pakatara, may koribuli. Na ilawalaw ko pakatara, nabuno ning kito sa mo hobbies.
And social life,
Social life.
Yeah.
Balto rongo era bibu ke sera bakat era na may takos ako se era may tiki ni no mo bagatulawa. Yeah. Kaya baka era senga nila wala binaka. Yan ang senga talangan ni binaka na no mo bagatulawa. Kaya bala na bis katalan ni mataka. Yan ang senga talangan ni binaka.
Yes. And that goes back like to workplace, like sometimes after work in Sorokay, we go to the bar. Now when places are, beginning to open again. And then you hang out with your friends. It's good because they are your friends. But sometimes you have, some members of your friends or some of your friends that are still single. Say if you're a married person, if you're a married man or a married woman. And then you're actually hanging out with friends that ranges from married and single. And those, who are divorced maybe, or, something happened to their marriage, so you hang out with them. And if you're not careful, because of the conversation, the exposure, the maturity, the kind of conversation that happens around you, because you're listening, you're actually hearing, and you can see. You have two eyes and you have two ears, and they are all taking in. What are you hearing and what are you seeing? They're doing what they're doing because they're single, or they're doing what they're doing because like they are not accountable to any husband or not accountable to any wife, and without you realizing, you're being exposed to you're exposed to what you're seeing and what you're hearing. And if you're not careful, you'll end up, because you're part of the friends, like that peer pressure. No, why don't you do it? Join us, come and do this, because they are your friends. You end up doing it, not wholeheartedly, because you have your family. Yeah. You're doing it for the sake of doing it because they are your friends. Yeah. You don't want to, disappoint them, and because it's pressure, And when you actually do that, it can be the spur of the moment that you never meant, that you never even thought to do. Now, didn't even, you didn't even think it well to say, okay, if I do this, it's going to affect my wife, affect my husband, or affect my children. Yeah, that's the correct word. Like you never thought of the repercussion. And you do it.
Just because
those
people are
around you. And then when you do it, the damage it does, there's nothing that you can do to go back and undo the things you've done.
Okay. I just want to testify. When we were in India, I used to play for a rugby club.
Yes.
And come a time that we start to commit to church, 94, 95, into our church in Namaka Methodist. And at the same time, I used to play rugby. And normally, after rugby, there's a lot of what we call team talk. Now, during the week when we do our training, I'll be asked to pray. I'll be asked to do some talk on to the boys. But come a time, I have to make a decision. I have to make a decision because I said one day when we come together again on Monday and Tuesday, and I said, I've heard that the weekend, most of you, they are going out. You go to your home on Sunday morning, and some of you on Sunday afternoon. Mm-hmm. We cannot continue like this.
Yeah.
So for me to make a decision, I hang my boot and come away, but I continue to do it.
Yeah.
So for me to come away,
that's you have to make the decision. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons. I love rugby. I love going out and play rugby. But because of the things that I'm seeing and hearing is not in line, that we at that time we start to commit.
And that's good. Like you pick up that point on having that exposure without you realizing you're part of something that you love.
Yeah.
So you can be part of something that you love, but it's the people are surrounding you.
And
doing the things that you love. And that is why it's very hard and difficult to make that decision. Because you love it. I mean, you love to do it. And you want to spend the time like that. Yeah. And what Gasile was trying to share, and then, I'm from my end, when he was part of that team or part of the rugby, it's like it takes your life. Yeah. After work, you go training every day, and then the weekend is taken. And, I take my head off for families with rugby players. Even though we are rejoicing on the far end for Fiji winning, it takes a lot of commitment to go back to, time off from home. But with Gasilevo, as he was sharing, when he was being part of this, really committed to this rugby team, and we were married then. We've started our family. When we started our family, he was never at home. And the people around you, on how it really influences you in a way without you knowing. And sometimes you don't even realize that you are part of it. He'll go to, like what I said, I mentioned it a few times earlier. He'll go and go to Matavito Kani, like the things that I would say for young people do. And goes back to what I'm saying, like what I'm trying to share. You can be married, but you're surrounding yourself with the people that are young, are not married, single, or people who haven't, really worked out in their family. Responsibility because you love doing what you're doing. Like what I said, that's from the end. For him to make that decision to, to hang the boats, and most of it, I believe, was a spiritual conviction. And when he was in it, he was was never part of the family. Like he's always, like what I said, he lived his life like he doesn't have any responsibility. And you may be you are listening in today. Eron you ko the kab sar na mata kini ko, iko nanu men donu tu na kay ko the kab. Ningo na dola kini kini vale was mo na. Iko sing mandangan ni bobe buke. Iko siniro mandangan ni ko kyo virto ngone. Iko ngena no to ko ken elango ino must be crazy. Elango ba kay no luna. And about you na no mani ba kasama, but stand still and real, try and relook. But I was going through the same thing with him, but I didn't want to bother to talk to him, or I just leave him. O quando ele matavito kani, tu ano matavito kani bono levo. Lago talanga ko, yo tiko ya ubati kina ngwane vale. Baka sanga mandanga no like non-issue, may career, sa may kamanga o nalako tiko. No, ito nga lako. Eva kay kimunita lang na barong tiko na matakaniko. From my receiving hand, that's it. Dako eda kabutunga na kako binakatame da kaba. Lako ike, pakatunga na dorbo. Iyo kwa saba matabu vale. O sinibando nduno ngono mo kabango biko, roto na nomungito. Sa mo kabi ko, kako nila ko na matabito kani. Sa mo kabi ko, na no responsibility. No. Now, kiro saba makambunya sanga rimente ko kayo, na no responsibility. Manangona kede what can I just leave him be to do whatever he wants? But I commit his life to the Lord and continue to pray. And I said, Lord, one day you will just make him. I don't want to bring it up because it will create differences because he loves what he's doing. And back to you listening to us today. You're loving what you're doing, but for a moment, stand still and relook at areas where you are enjoying it by yourself, with your friends or with the people around you, without your family. Isang ini chika kina matubal. Kiko lako chika na biwe kandi ko kotiro to chika na vitinani. Say ko lako chika na buno ko lako kina nau iko kotiro to chika na vitamani. Then fine. Your family are part of your social life. They are part of your life because one way or the other you look and say, okay, you're being reminded that's my wife or that's my husband and those are my children. Indirectly speaking, be matured and act your age because you have a responsibility. Lebuti ko na alo ni bulan balatan sarangango balatan na tamate robuliti kenda ngule daba menda. Relevant vehicle. You need to choose what's more relevant to you. You cannot continue to go and live your life knowing fully well that you have a responsibility, not only to your wife or your husband, and not only to your children, to yourself.
Just
because personal conviction,
Yeah.
wherever you are at.
And that's why when we are so committed to what we love,
Yes.
our hobbies,
Yeah.
it takes away the responsibility in the home. And the maturity is very little.
Low, yeah.
We can be very talented in whatever we do.
And your age too can be
And we
big.
can be very good in the company,
Yeah.
very good in the field,
Yeah.
whatever sports. But when it comes to personal development, the personal maturity,
The inner self, yeah.
and the decision is very, very low. And we are growing up in a generation where there is less maturity, generally, the whole nation, the whole people, the whole society, because of that. Because we are so concentrated on what we love, but we are not taking up the responsibility that make us grow and get matured.
Yeah.
So when we compare to our parents, even when they grow up, they're still young, they are very responsible in looking after their families. But in the world that we are moving in today is very fast. People are so concentrating on your hobbies and what you love, the self-centered attitude. So building up a family is not really with maturity and accountability.
Yeah.
And imagine the children that are growing up and seeing their parents going their own way, doing their own stuff.
Yeah.
So the responsibility and the personal development, the personal integrity is missing. It's missing big time in a family, in a person, and also to the society.
Yeah.
So when something hits the wall, there is no conviction to do the right thing.
Yes.
People just went out on
and just go separate ways.
Separate way.
Yeah.
Easy to get divorced. Why? Because their focus was on
themselves.
the personal agenda. It was only on themselves. They couldn't care less what will happen to
the children,
to their spouse,
to their parents, to their family,
to the family that they come together, and they can have a big marriage, But when something happened, it does not go that way. They don't think twice. of the responsibility that they have to go through.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe it looks like even the whole society can come to maybe the generation of today because of the decision making. The decision is not based on the family. It's not family based. The decision is not based on the couple. No. I can do without my wife.
Yeah.
I can do without my husband. I can do without all these people.
Yeah. The tolerance level is very low.
Very low.
And very impatient for the result to happen overnight.
Yeah. Because of the focus is focus on self.
Self, yeah.
When the focus is on self, maybe it goes to the human rights movement that we are exposed to at the moment, that we are not based on, if I do this, what will happen to my wife? What will happen to my husband? What will happen to my 6-year-old daughter, my 7-year-old son? No, there's no longer about us. It's about me.
Me and I.
And I believe that's why the divorce rate is very high, and the unwanted children or the people that they don't have home, and like there's a breakdown in the society. Yeah. Sa tika mo kakabinda-binda may ng bula baka mata mo bali, bula baka biwatini. Kasambi bito nga, oyaw nga, nanungong mula nga, oyaw nga. Kisa sinira ngo, kisa sinibinagang ngo, you don't have a choice to try to make it better. Doon na waso yung kondo, bang tagati ko na program ni the couple, How much do you want your family to work? Pagka sa siya nga nataro ya. Nataro sa ati ko nga, nadaba uroni rawa teke. Bada mo nung kumbulay ke. Kaya baka sa sini kerubilo manitiko, why should I spend?
What are my options out of this relationship?
Baka sa sini bibi na relationship, sa bibi ito nga wayaw.
I believe that's a question that we should ask ourselves, like especially for families. I mean, it's a family table talk. And before we used to have high tolerance level, like you can tolerate whatever's happening within your family, or even if they, have your differences, you can still hold on, like you can just stay. And back to what we were sharing, because we actually have this business house virtual Bible study on every Thursdays, I believe, and we talk to the couples on the couple session. And the question that we are always posing, to them for you to ask yourself, how bad do you want your family? And most families now, or most couple now, you're not asking yourself, how bad do I want this family to work? Or what can I do to make it work? It's like when you're looking at it and it's like, okay, what are other options out there? You're not looking in, but you're looking out. What are my options out there? I don't need to be a slave to this thing, because of the exposure to the wrong place or reading through things. And then it has really taken away. One thing that we've noticed as well, the family values, it has really reduced, like really dropped in so many ways. And not only that, the respect for elders. Nanon da bakrok te kir, semen da respect te kir, na kuirangas te kiviken. Wakwisi wir nanon de tumbo, even to respect your parents, or to respect the church leaders within your church, or the society. Menda respect menda rokobir turangin ni punua, o irarabelu taki, bale tu irango. Etu beka nanon malmulu tu talanga malmulu ni talatala, etu na talanga na malmulu ni take na, bekenda nangon, enda bakarongan ni ko. Yo irakadengori, embitiri kana kalo for a purpose. Na kalo e bakapuna na bono erameti ko kina. Ke mabala na nonda ritabi, ningon ndo riviki, ningon ndo rokoba kina, se ningon ndo respect ka kina, na mbula ni vilu taki se vada banga na area bono mbeka no mudaka in a society na koriko tiko kina. Sanga loti iko lewena, se na mata viwe kani iko tiki na kino iko. Au ira ko ratiko ngari na kalo e bakabuna, questa da kaba na keni tubutuba me bakaya. Ningona kendaro kobe kena kendaro kibakamandana ndor sanganilo to kendaro indirectly we are actually acknowledging God's calling and God's anointing on those people in leadership. Yes, you can look at Naribango, Kwebango, and Malmulumu, 11 weaknesses. By just one look, you can write down 10, 20, 30 weaknesses that you can identify because of what you can see. But we still believe it doesn't give you any right to, maybe what you said, the human right. Everybody, worldwide, right, globally, it is my right. Your right as a child, your right as a woman, your right as a man, your right as a believer. You have every right. So sometimes these rights override the nature of what's supposed to be, that God has created it to be. Because that's God's way. That is the way it is done. Kama na koro. Ito ka naturangan ni Matagali, ito ka naturangan ni Yavusa, ito ko na be turangan bale, hindi kita ka nakalo, pero may vilutaki. Kembala iko na kokati ko niko iko na rin bakanya ko sintaltak waron chumay ko na korri ko sintaltak se ko na turanga la ko may bos ta no muloto ko sintaltak no muloto kunya la ko me ken lo tungor sambe ko tamay ndo na elo ni dhunru se nelo no musasanga ni rokobo na bilutak se mani vanda na bilutak ki vinaka seda kama da non da matini tu e se me ken sintaltak na kair da kama na matin tu e se sintaltak na bakatulawa e se sintaltak lebu na ka yo me na no matiko na kaya do tiko weekenda e bakataratu na kalo na kene vala kene mebela o kenda na non deitavi menda rokoba menda doka ko total kene na bole ni mata vale na ngoni ko mitigo kene mata vale tiko na no mitumbu tumbu iko la ko na bono oi tumbu no movila kaki ko sota vir era sabia na doto kane tamba en don no mitigo weekend en don na elo menda rokoba kene senda respecta kene ko rangase da ke weekend na tau ni non da vossa vira na ne wali ni non da bole ni vi maliwai en don ni mitigo endo na bola ni baka roko. And the second kai menda do vata beka, so no one can okay, I have my right. I want to speak up my mind. I don't like what they're doing. You know, I want to vocalize it for them to know, even though maybe they, continue to do what they're doing because they don't know. There are ways that you can follow to, still make known your ideas or what you don't like in a better and a proper way that is befitting the situation that you are in.
We in a society now that the self and my right supersede the godly. God have our God is an orderly God. It's very order. Everything, even the season. The season. Sinroni winter tunga kay pakasori tumela sama. Se sama tunga wa winter sang. The will bakamalua. Our God is an orderly God. Ia na orderly ela ko may kinambula ba dua kinambula ba matong wale ningaw ne ko libikina na odalia angelo ko may nakakawato kay na ba disorder kuna disorder ningelo ko may do naturang when maybe an elderly person an old man coming to the bus sa sanga kina na odali sa automatic nga meron duri da kina dorbo now may dabike o ratu may dabike sa ko i tauni sa automatic nga. When you see a person that is older than you, automatic nga na mo respect. That you know that this person is older than you.
Conviction.
Conviction na sayali. Because of me, myself, and I. Ni kung kailangan ka ba sa roro na numubos ang beda na bilutak. There are ways, there are protocol to make your idea and your thinking known in a very gentle way or a very respectful way. But today, with what is going through now, in the society, even in the urban areas or even in the village, people are coming out in a very different way, like in a very rebellious way. And that is something that we are sharing today. And if we don't address the issue, or people to
identify there is a problem.
It's a problem. There must be a teaching.
Yes.
There must be a discussion, even in the Banua, even in the church. It's good to talk about what's happened in the Bible, but we must bring it to the reality, to be practical. That's why the Bible talk about the young people to respect, to honor their parents, their father and their mother. Because of that orderly, that we are serving a God that is very orderly.
And what Ngasile is sharing with us today on that conviction, personal conviction within you. You're doing what you're doing and you're deciding what you're deciding and you're actually acting it out because of the inner self. So if the inner self say to itself that I have a family and I should be accountable for this family, I must be responsible for this family, then your decision making will define the action that you take. and you will do exactly what comes from within you. And if you just walk away from your family, or take your children and leave them with your grandparents, or leave them with an aunt, and you go and start another family, or you just go and live life like you don't have any responsibility, that is just a decision you've made because of the inner self. So the inner self was just concerned of self-indulgence into a lot of things, the lust of the flesh, or the lusting things around you, or living a life without responsibility. Aron ni katalangan ni ko lebi weekend and the bullet ko no the bullet balat and rova katiko nga na itabi and the dono mendator. And when you take ownership of the responsibility, it matures you, regardless of how young you are. If you start a family and you're very young, and then you say to yourself, okay, I'm still young. I'm having this problem because I am still young. No, you can develop faster in your relationship as a family because you take responsibility. You can relate to what we are sharing this morning. We can't well-grounded. Go on a matapubale, do what you know, takina, me rotor the responsibility, rongai kaya enongo. Because we are both working, eh? Most family, you're both working. And some of you may be one. And if it's one, okay, good. You have somebody at home. But when both people are working, the tendency to have somebody else to come and look after the children, house girl comes in. So the responsibility that used to be yours now has been passed over to the people or the relatives that you organize to come and stay in the house. Or you're paying somebody to come and take your responsibility. Or you're having it on your parents to take on your responsibility. So when you're walking away from your responsibility, that is why you are still immature to not only to manage your family, but immature to carry your life or to make decision for your life. Eleviken and dial way to another the bull. The same baki in bimbi, and baki levu. Around you come back vasting a wool, toll sing a wool, and baki limising a wool. In the vaka, Nevala Balanin on the bulla, can a bull and the bulletaka, Bakatung and Donabaki rusing a wool, and Bakatung and Dona in Dona Dorbo and Dona Gonella. But in the second tour, and Naitabi and the Donominonda. Nangona and the Bakai Tabitikin and Naitabi in the cover. Can the second Nikila and Bakayalo Motu take and the Bakatolosar. Balatani Ebaka and Dana Matinilum. Okay, another Kabaya. Nanomuba kasama sinibutu na kami ko the kam. Kebala no mubula e baka imbale. There's always something to be done at the ordained time.
Yes.
Because you're so taken up with the responsibility you have taken over and say to yourself, my children are my responsibility. My family is my responsibility. And goes back to those of you, that have house girls at home or have people coming in to help with the house. Look, always remember to take some of those responsibility back to you, because at the end of the day, it is yours and it matures you. But if like you're calling back the house girl, or you're calling back your aunt, or maybe take them to your parents. But they are more conducive to the house girls or to the people looking after them. And they are, they look at you as mom and dad, but the bonding or the responsibility or the things that they desire doesn't seem to come from parents. It comes from the very person that we are paying, to look after the responsibility of our house. For me, growing up, when we got married, I had my mom, up until to my youngest daughter. Yeah, then she passed on. But she was always with me. My youngest daughter, Tiare, was only 3 years old when she passed on. But my mom was with me. Even with my mom being at home, she loves cooking, she loves doing all those kind of stuff. But I still take over that responsibility. I don't want to... With that thinking, I don't want my mom to be, slaving herself to come and do my responsibility, my work. It's my family. Yeah, my mom loves me very much, and she would say, leave that to me. I'll do that, or I'll do that. No, I'll make sure before I go to work, I'll hang all the clothes out, clear all the laundry, clean all the house, and I'll just tell her to look after my daughter, or, just to be at home. But she loves cooking. And I do that. When she passed on, then I have to look for people to come and look after my children. So I start paying house girls. And when I do pay house girl, Gasilevo will know, Au katira men na maramata kata mo may sumira may redierto na lubengo. Ina ngono sumira kina au da kabatunga ka. Au samaka kena na male na matakalilay lili kena na isolo buta na keto ba kabi au gela kita kata. Au nage kabi ko na o ko na marama se ko na so me ko chike mal. Iko redierto nga ngone merto ko chiko ngor siberle buli. Kerto no suka merto Sicily merto buli le soni erto kan. Me da batana ngono lis mekina. Au la ko mayo ko lis la ko tala ko val. So my house girl arrangement was like that. And then we came onto the ministry where you have people coming in, being part, because we're always having events, so we're having things, nambulin living garage. And I thank pandemic, through COVID, I was getting used to the fact that somebody else is there. Like they know, okay, take this to the freezer. You can do that. You can cut this up for me, or you can cook that. And now, during the pandemic, I just told my family, okay, we take this back on, nobody else come here. So this is what we did. And just by looking at my children, looking at my grandchildren, taking on their responsibility, I can see maturity. Not only when we see it as our devotion on how they speak, how they share, or the conversation that happens within the house, I can read between the lines. The maturity has grown from what it is. And that maturity is not something you can teach. Maturity comes by experience. By experience or by doing it out, acting out the responsibility that will mature you.
And not only in the way they talk, not only in the way they think,
Yeah.
but also in the way they look after the house.
Yes.
Like this morning, when we
Come back,
out
yeah.
from the house, or when we finish from the whaling Suva,
Yeah.
everybody just go into their
Duties without being reminded.
And imagine if we allow people to come and do it at home, and they'll be sitting there either doing other things or just go down to play.
Yeah.
So with the responsibility, change you to be committed. So you are always doing something.
Yes.
Which make your mind think. So you can grow.
Yes.
Get matured.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day in Nandi when we pay
House girls to come. Yeah.
In Balwai. They just come. Most of the time they'll be just sitting there, just looking after Kula.
Yeah.
When she was still young. But the working as a house girl, it's
done.
not there.
Yeah.
It's already done, and goes back to the responsibility. Goes back to the things that we do. The more things that we do make us grow, get mature, and we take on the responsibility. So our knowledge is extended, our strength is extended, and the things that we can save, the responsibility, we can see the fruit of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And not just lazing around and having a good time, because people are paid to do what we're supposed
to do your job.
To do our job, It's our job.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's our job, to look after the family, it's our job. I mean, they can come, but to help, but we must take ownership that you are, in authority, that you are the custodian of your children.
It goes back to me. It goes back to the self. When we want to, we can pay people to come and work, but because self want to relax. And the more we do the work, the more we do it ourselves, the more we take it on, the more matured we are and the experience that we have. And then slowly we can pass on to our children, to our grandchildren. And imagine for those that pay people to come and work. They got nothing to pass on. They got nothing to share as experience or to coach or to teach the people that they are coming up. To hand over the baton. And I believe it's very important in a society today that people focusing on self, they got nothing to share to the generation to come, nothing to teach. The attitude of self-centered or selfishness, that is what we have, the spirit that is here right now. And it's a challenge when the world is going through what we are going through now. And you see a lot of irresponsible action in the community. Sometimes we point fingers at the church, or maybe the government, or the police, or maybe those in leadership. But we don't look within to see that most of the problem are coming from home. Most of the problem are coming because the husband and wife, or maybe the children, it goes back to the people that you entertain to be your friends. The people that you allow to influence your life. Ko ira ko yugo mga tara, mera lang ko tumay. Lima na nga na saan, natuba tunga. Bula tunga pa kalilibo. Weekend na wana na ituke. Nang bulang ko, nang bula pa kalilibo. Communal living.
Bula babiwekan, ya?
Bula pa babiwekan. Kalebo na nga na, esya nga ni, nda Toorak yun na nung day tutu, menda baka tulewa pa ka doon. Menda susungi rada ka na lumenda, me ado mera, yalo matua totong, mera kuni be murmuritu. Lebo na nga na, nira lebe murmuritu ba, era sya nga ningon eda. Era sya ningon ni me tukuni mera bilira ki sya nga. Non rala ko sar tunga le.
Being in the wrong crowd, eh?
Yeah. Bala tanga ni dala tunga na bunu era le muritu kina. Era ni era le idoko tu. E na sonaka. Kasati ka bu biso sa ringa. Non ni tuba na bisi ni mata.
Yeah. So it goes back to those of you that are listening. We don't want to bore you this morning. When you're listening to us today, the decision that you make, and then for you just to have a quick check. Just check the people around you. Like what Gustavo said, just select 2 or 3 and look at their lifestyle and, watch them from a distance and know you for a fact that that's exactly you. Or the way that you think or the way that you act. Maybe you said, okay, not just one of my friends, but they define you. And it's very important, the decision that you make, the people that you choose to surround you, the kind of conversation that you have, within the scope of the people that you are sitting with. And I remember when I was working at the airline years back, like what I always share, and I believe for those of you that would work with us or with me at the airline then back in the 1990s, I believe, and up until 2011 and 2012 when I finally left. I'm not a kind of person to be adhering to every morning tea and afternoon tea, to take the time off, sit in the tea room, because you are entitled to that. You are entitled to your tea time. You are entitled to your break.
Lunchtime.
Yeah, but I'm always a misfit. Like if I'm coming in to make my tea, I'll make my tea, I'll come back to my desk. Or I'll make my tea in the morning or in the afternoon and bring it back to my desk. Even to the extent to try and get a small fridge behind me in my office to try and put the things that I want. So the sitting around in the tea room is a rare scenario for me. Maybe in the years, like what I said, we have a cafeteria on the 2nd floor. We were at the 3rd floor. I was at the same floor where the cafeteria was, on the 2nd floor. That was it? Yeah, 2nd floor. 1st floor, 2nd, yeah. And even within that same floor where the cafeteria is, hardly, like in a whole year, maybe I'll sit there for 1 time or 2 times. The whole years of being there, like 20 plus years of being employed by the airline, I think I can physically count out and I can remember the days, less than 10 times that I've walked into that cafeteria to actually sit. It has to take my friend to come and force me to say, okay, come up from work. Stop thinking in work. We just go and sit and we can go and come and sit. Other than that, I'm just always at my desk, or if not, I'll drive out of the company and the hangar and go and pick something from town or go to the airport and come back. But the sitting and just hanging around, because maybe I took on responsibility in a very early age of my life. I was only 18 when I got married. Like what I said, I mentioned, before, that I've never gone back to my parents or to my mom. I've never called my brother. I've never called anybody else for counsel or for help, even though that I'm really, running dry and out in my house. And we were at the cafe compound then. We'll be staying in this compound, the fence, and over, just opposite the road will be BSP Bank, and that's where my brother was a manager. Sitting there, I'll be running out with a lot of things there, counting the coins to take me to work, because like for CAFI, they provide their transport. They pick them from home, door to door. And for me, I have to find money to go, or even to move the car. I have to, basically just get about $2 or $3 to fill my fuel. And I have my brother right across the road, but never entered my mind or even crossed my mind for me to go to my brother or ask. I took it on because I believe this is a decision that I made, which my mom wasn't really for it. When I introduce my boyfriend or my husband to my mom, one thing that my mom turned to me and said, I'm not really ready for you to get married yet. And because she saw my age, I was, school leaver at 16 and working straight, and I was only 18. She was, rightfully, just like when you look at an 18-year-old child there at home, I was that age. And, it comes natural from parents or from mom to say, you're not ready. And that's the same thing that I got from my mom. But when she said that, our relationship developed, and then we just got married. I even got married without consulting my mom. I was very disobedient in that sense. And but when I went into this marriage, regardless of his actions and whatever decision that he makes, not part of the, like he was not ready for the family, because he continues to live the life of, a young man still at large. And I took on that responsibility. I don't want to ask my mom for anything because I knew my mom wasn't for the idea for me to get married young. And I don't want to even ask any of my brothers or ask anybody. So I took it on. And looking back now, I felt that because I took over the responsibility from an 18-year-old perspective, it matured me faster and earlier. It gives me, it gave me a wealth of maturity that I couldn't have learned by listening or reading or hearing whatever that I need to learn to make my family work. It came, on me because I took on the responsibility. And I want to, throw it back to you when you're listening today. The decision that you have made, it's not like the spur of the moment for you to say, no, I didn't really mean to get pregnant. I didn't really mean for me to be married to this man. You cannot say that, especially when you have your children right there before you. And for you to say, having 4, 5, or 6, or 8 children, or 3 children, this is not the decision. This is not what I want. And for you to turn and, move to another family or to start another family. Ako na kawin na katmo sa weekend. Ningon kami da Toorak na responsibility. Balatan indang bulat kimay, eleven na mata po pali. And most of the couple that are listening to us today, you have your parents always there. Like, you started young. So na numitubutumbo, eranggarabir tunga nangwan. They stay with you. Some of them stay with you. So they become you. Like you being your parents' children. Every decision making, everything that they eat, the life that they live, because you're coming home late, your parents are always there. Responsibility. And go back to my family. So from then on, I took on, and when I work or go to work, to sit around and just to, talk and laugh and talk about anything and anything, I feel out of place. I was a misfit to most of things. And most of the time when we have, say we can have the rugby team, or we can have, Bollywood actors coming into the theater in our marketing hall or marketing theater for the airline, because the airline is one of the major sponsorship into a lot of things. And when they come, I'll see people running in with their autograph, sitting there, they don't want to miss that opportunity. But for me, I took it on and said, okay, I'll answer all the phone. I will be the one here. Everybody go, program all your phone to my handset, to my phone. And I'll be sitting there. One time, my boss, if he's hearing me today, he'll come, stand there. Salah ko chukuna viamba, kala ko chukuna event. Ko salah kami doon singa sama tu dekte usaka ko rai. Niko yukusa kuni sa telefon. Toda ke ikola ko kya. You need to go and meet these people. You need to be exposed. This is marketing and it's part of your role. You need to go out there and meet them. I have to be directed to go and do that. But to naturally to come and be part of it, that was not me. It's not me. Even when I go with him, he loves his rugby. And when I'm playing, I want you to be watching. And my daughter, they were very small then. And I'll plug them into the pram and take them to watch rugby. And he'll have his club games at the Prince Charles Park. I'll have to take my books to read or take things to do. After a few months, I told him, no, this is not me. I just can't bring myself to be sitting there and just watching and watching. And for me, I'm thinking, man, I can be doing this, I can be doing that, I can clean the clothes by this time, I can do that, I can do this. So, only you know, as and when that I really need to, like it's a
Overseas trip.
overseas trip or national trip, or they reach a game that he really wanted me there. Other than that, I'll stay home. Like I stay home. I just take on that responsibility that I'm accountable for my children. I had my mom staying with me. I could have just left my children with her. For me, that's I love those moments. I'll take all my children, the
Go to
whole
Lotoka.
4 of them. We'll run from Nandi, run down to Lotoka, go to Singatoka, buy, go to the market. It's like Saturday I take them. I lug them wherever I go. The only question that I'm trying to ask, how can I feed my children or how can I feed my family into this event? When my family is not part of it, and I know my bosses can vouch for this, and they may be listening to this one here, I'm always having excuses to say, okay, I'm not attending. Or I'll just come and I'll go back. Or I'll just pop in and show my face and then I'll go. We used to have this Christmas party on the car park, a lot of parties in the airline then, a lot of things that was happening.
Sports day.
A lot of things. But I'll just come in only if my family's all involved or my children, mostly my children. But if they're not, then I'll just come in, show my face, I'm here, 10, 20 minutes, and I said, okay, bye, and then I'll go back.
I remember during the time that the Air Pacific Marching Girls,
Yes.
we were committed because
Yes.
2 of our daughters were marching. And then Tiara comes in. That's the only time that we really committed on the social part of Air Pacific at that time.
That involves your family,
Because all the girls are part of the marching
Yes.
team. Whether it's a Bula marching team or come down to the
Hibiscus.
Hibiscus or go to the north or maybe in Lotoka. Because when you take on the responsibility, it makes you think more and you expose more. And because of something that you surround yourself with.
Yes.
It goes back to the people around you and the values of your life.
Yeah.
If the value of your life is your family, then everything about the family life, you'll be part of it.
Yes.
But if you surround yourself with single people and people that they go and party, they go out into the world, the drinking stuff, or even people go into drugs addict and sexual relationship, it's because of the people that you surround yourself with. So it's very important. The decision that you make because of the people that surrounded you, and you will continue to make decision, whether it's a good decision or it's a bad decision. It depends on the people around you. So it's very important of the table talk this morning, of the kind of friends that you keep.
Maybe this morning, just for you to have a quick recollection of the friends that you keep. Quickly, what do they contribute to your life and the decision that you're making that has been influenced because of their input and what they actually talk about. I had this conversation yesterday with one of our staff here at MaiTV, one of my friends. She walked into my office. We were actually talking about something else, and we endeavored into talking about family and everything. And then she said, when I walked into MaiTV and the early morning chats we used to have, I used to come, she's an early bird to the office. And by 7 o'clock, we are sitting chatting in my office, and she'll walk in. We'll take about 45 minutes or 30 minutes in the morning, just talk. And those talks surrounding our family can be the home, the property, the car, the investments, the achievement. We used to have very interesting conversation, and I used to love our talk. And as we were talking, and yesterday, then she remembered. She said, I remember the day when I came here, when I started with MaiTV back in 2017. And we used to talk about this in the morning and how that changed me, sort of make me who I am today. For that exposure of that conversation. I not only, bought a new car, she actually renovated her house, re-looked at her farm, looking at other ways of extending the boundaries of her house, and got all her children to join into the Fijian Holdings for units, and now in the process of doing their insurance policy. And as we were talking, this yesterday morning and having this chat, and I was thinking, it's really amazing. Even we have a team here in this company, Business Media, just for the previous 2 years. Like the importance of the people that you surround yourself with. And we have them. Kortona company kortona staff na vitalano na karton yung doeta kami do na kar vitalano takay na kenambimbi na tamatay ko wabulitiko. nabaki sawati, may nabaki sawati, ebola kan yertoke. We have, 1, 2, 3, 4. Erto libia base lima, erto tarake de nonorto vale. Endo etarano non vale, volita tale non vale, investale tale endo tale non vale. E baka viso taka bakandua na bakarau ni vita la noa. E viso taka bakandua na elo matua ni non da mbula e na vesinga. E viso mai na mbula ni wakavitalia na vita no taka na party. You know, you coming, talking about what happened here, what happened there, who went there, who did what, who, the stupid things happened and all those kind of thing. Eh?
That is the normal conversation that happens in most of the areas. And does not allow the people to grow.
Because they are being exposed to these things.
Yeah, and they talk about that, and they want to have a different stories every weekend.
Yes, and there is the difference of what I'm trying to share. Like they were there, and now they're here. They all own their own homes now. It's amazing. And they bought their cars. And the things that they've never achieved over the years, now they're beginning to achieve that. And that goes back to our, MaiTV team. They're very young boys. We have young girls here in the office as well for administration. And I was telling them, don't look at yourself young. And don't say to yourself, okay, when I get married, then I will look for a property or I will buy a car. No, you look at yourself now. You don't wait until you age or you don't wait until you reach another level and you live in this dream. Okay, I should go for extra studies. And maybe when I earn more money and I will get that. No, you look at the little money you have and you try and take responsibility and say to yourself, I can do this. You write down your list, like if you're a Christian or believer. Like I've always said, write your list, believe in God, trust in God, committed to God. And for believers, getting your list answered or achieving those things earlier, you have a greater, chance compared to those who are just relying in the physical sense on the power of their earning or the money that comes through their payroll. They can daloto, totolo bakalilay, duindu ivalilay. But at the same time, ni labo ko itikubiko, iko pakabota ni no mukalo ero ni dakabibiko. Iko pakabota na kai kore de matamo, e sanga ni tikubiko kwai na dakabibiko. But then no mumbola no mubambota na kalo. Yo kenda ko kenda sinivambote ni mbola tikundo na kalo. Iko re de chunga na labo ga ikotor. Yo ki kore de chunga labo ikotor. Yo taka tekiko kina kako ni kubango no mubakasam. Au na wawa mi lebu no gilavo, au na gebole no motakase bole na no bale. Kuni kuwawa. Taka tekiko rawango bolarao. E sona kai kore ni marroya and the lomani madao. You can save some money off your pay, whether weekly or fortnightly. You can still save. Like I'll share it again. We have this young team of workers here, staff at the transmission and the studio, as well as the administration and finance. Just from 2020 for 1 year, like that. If you are given the freedom to save or the freedom to invest, most of you listen to me today, it's like a no. It's like, okay, no, I'll do it next time. So your next time, gone past the whole year, no.
Still next time.
Yeah. And then next year, you still haven't done it. Yeah. And then 3 or 4 years into the work that you're working at and you're earning money, still haven't done it. Well, it's the same. That's natural. When they come in for interview, try to counsel them, remind them and tell them, okay, put some money aside, save. $5 or $10 or $20, whatever strength you can find, save that money. But it doesn't happen. So 2020, and said, okay, I'm not going to wait for you. And the COVID, because of COVID, and then you look, they're going to be 20% pay cut. And with the little money they already have, there's no money there as a buffer. So I just make the decision. I said, okay, I'm going to help you to save. I look at the amount of money that they're getting. Those that get some more salary, okay, I take out $50. Less salary, $20. And so it, depend on their salary level. And by doing that, from 2020 now to 2021, we were actually reading out to them when we had our meeting and tell them, this is just for 1 year. The 2 highest bidder or the highest saver, they reached nearly 4,000 of their saving. And that's just for 1 year. And I was challenging them, this is 1 year. And then you challenge yourself. If you have gone and lived and operated without the $20 or without the $50 and look at your money again. Relook. How much more can you put in? So the range go right down to 1,000 plus. It's amazing because you're actually looking at these young boys or these young girls and you see that not only they're earning, they're managing to invest or managing to save. So with that same money, the money that they've managed to save, we are actually guiding them and counseling them. Okay, go and get your learner's permit. You need to, get a driving license. Write your list on the car. You're not going to be going for a luxurious car. No, go for the car that you can afford. You have some car being advertised for 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. Yeah, used car, start small. You start small. And then after that, and then I was telling them, then write the list for your farm. So the decision that you make now, you shouldn't wait for you to age, for you to say, okay, for you to take the age, because okay, na non ba kingo, ko rawata kinaya. Me baka na matuni non ba kin, ba ki basta ngabulo. Alima sa ngabulo kung gay kaya, ngo sangay dondono mer token na ka. No, kenda roningone. Na baka ronimbola ko tibola ko kene ni kongone. But na no mo baka sama esa matua. You are responsible to take things on. And back to my grandchildren, I always tell them, you may be still in school. Write down your list. You need to be responsible. See, you do this and do that and do that and do that. Even when my children was growing up and they were going on to university, and before they go out, I was telling them, when you do this, and this is your major, when you do that, you can always do some sidelines on the course that you want to achieve, things that you decide to do on top of it. But nobody thought that there was, a point to consider. And a lot of things we can take on ourselves because of being matured, not only that, being accountable, but most of all, you are making the decision for yourself to be the person you are.
Because when you have the right people with you, you will hear the right thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So it goes back to the people that you keep.
Yes.
The friends that you fellowship with. Because, there's a saying, the birds of the same feather, they will flock together.
Yeah.
If you see young people introduced very early to those that are responsible, to those that are committed, you will see that their life will be different. They matured very early because of the friendship that they have.
Yeah.
And when we put it into a Itoke setup, most of the time that they fall into wrong crowd and wrong people and wrong friends, and they committed a lot of unnecessary things because of the friends that they keep. Because the friends that they keep will assist them or will influence their decision making.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say that it's happening at the moment.
Yeah.
Our young people, I just reading a paper 3 days ago, about 40 plus people that they are going into, they are in a court case now, and they're not released on bail. So that means they are in prison of the wrong company. And because of that wrong company, they made the wrong decision. And I was told, you read in the newspaper, their parents, they'll be sitting there asking for bail, and their children in their teens, already in prison. And it's such a sad sight because of the influence with the wrong people.
Yeah.
So the decision that we are making today, that we will reap the repercussions tomorrow. And because of that wrong decision, that we will receive a wrong future.
Yeah. You shared a bit, I think, in one of the Saturdays when you shared on, growing up in Gawia.
Yeah.
And being influenced by whatever was happening there until one of your brothers pluck you out and take you, to be exposed. Because if you have stayed on, and the crowd that you keep would have predetermined.
It will change my future.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes too, this is for young men. You don't want to be alone. You want to be part of the crowd. And sometimes you do things because you want to be accepted into the crowd.
Yeah.
Especially I come from the village and I see the way they live. I see you want to be macho, to be accepted, that you must do something that they are doing. If they're stealing, you have to be also a thief. If they can step a taxi, you want to,
do the same thing. To be part of the crowd.
To be part of the crowd. Because of that wrong crowd. You don't want to stay at home. And when you go to the shop, they will look at you. Why are you not part of the crowd? So, you're
actually living your life for others and not for yourself.
You want to please others. Yeah. Because that is the communal influences. You want you want to show off that you also can do it.
And you want to show your support in a different way.
In a negative way.
Yeah.
So it goes back to the friends that you keep.
Yeah.
Hoba abi minakabuan na turangan no may relation wango. Kaya baka sini interfere to na nungo big bro mo kaule mi mai mo le tigo bi ko ai ina kempa ni matibalu. Kaya andotan na nungo future kaya andotan. Kaya the things that I will end up but ilim sarang abi nungo to kanira duru ngai bali besu sakatal ngani robo binang buli. So bira roy balangi. Always on the wrong side of the fence, of the floor, because of the wrong friends that you keep. Utuk na nabi na lako may namukailaw na loto sinakarawa na lako bon loto isikatam. Na ngone ba wrong sa ni kusangay susungi dagiti kumay. Ve mo ilabo na singatambo, le sisiltu iway lebo na singatambo. Na loto sa sinidaka. Kaya sa nakakwa tumberme kinasa hindi. Yeah. And sometimes when I see young people, I feel sorry because I was part tu ya ilu. Anang una undo lako kinmo lebi balutaki. Undo sanga sarang ora dorbo mera rongo dani. There's another part of life.
Yeah.
You know, ni undo kebaganda sonang una undo redire tu lako may batuanga, lako may rewai, undo redire tu lako tu na seawall. Sonang una totol nonda dusi, totol nonda bagalilao, totol nonda mostakira. Yeah, the friends and the community that they brought up with, that we can also be part of the solution. Ninda kila, realiado tu ina puna realiado kina, balat saranga nanrakinimbula erasotamai. And not because they are bad boys, no. Not because they want to go that way, no. It was the environment forced them to go this way. Yeah. Ko bibi na dorbora. That we can make a difference, that we can change. Yeah. We can change by providing the environment suitable. And the winakakina nangito, and the winakakina nangito, but the kautira tanimay na soran rakinibula na idleness, na be muri-muri. Nilakomay nangito pagkaramay hindi na purpose at wika. They can go and play. Na kara do the kabatuya sanago to be recognized this side that they are men that the dorbo sanago hura really mangatakan kinagito, which is the positive side. Gandong basic kin ngonen daw gito, ngonen daw sa sanga, ngonen mamakut. Galing basic on the positive side. And that's why it's very important the friends that we keep.
Yes.
Because the friends that we keep will influence our decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it goes back to everybody that are actually tuning in this morning. It's good for us to check. Just check, the percentage of your commitment to your family, like for the whole week. The percentage. How often or how many hours do you spend with your family dedicated for your family? And you try and work out how much time you spend with your friends, so away from home. We can say during pandemic it was good because you're forced to be home, regardless of what you want to do and your normal life, hanging out in club or going, to the friends for a grog party or whatever party that you can call it. But you're just always going out, leaving home. But the pandemic sort of like brought you home and make you stay home. And sometimes you really hate it. I believe some of you can really stand that. You actually break the curfew and do what you need to do because it's so unbearable. You cannot. And there is responsibility. Back to responsibility. It's like, I'm home. You are being reminded of your responsibility. Yeah. Whenever you hear your children, going up and down, or some of you maybe sa kalalay na lubian, ningo na ragatang itikina na, may rongo tikina na tang, yuko sa may irritated yuko tiba senga na responsibility. O yuko senga nga yung dorongo na balat na libon yung mobila kwayaki. So kenda na, da bitir to nga lubian da birin ng bu, avir rivalin da lako tu. Ningo na may lako kina pandemic sa sindo na bono yuko lako kina balat ni vakatambu kenda. O to sanga may tuka no rongo da morida na matamo rongo da nandalingamo na reality ni mula na visinga kaya no mo na responsibility. And it was good because some of us like that created domestic abuse.
Yeah.
It's like, it's your duty to look after that. Or one yelling out, credo man go tangitiko. Oh, nakakala si Merimuta, lo virt madana vileti. Kaya balata na when you're faced with the reality that this is your responsibility, and then another level is looking at each other, it's your responsibility, and you're pointing fingers at each other. No mi tabiko, no mi tabiko. Keda sanga vindu sitio. Na non da vindu sia, ako ko também na bala, na bemba, na vuka ni correnti, na vuka ni tabuteke, vuka na kake da vuka. Vonga iko mo vuka. Na levo ni koko ni bibusaki. Balatengo na non da sa rea ni nagakango, na non gaitavi. This is my responsibility. These are my children. But you don't want to accept that. Nelomo, iko rebuff, iko sinivingom. You're always trying to take the responsibility and throw it to somebody else to take it on because you don't want to be part of it. Kwe raro kina weekend na tudake dale lasa itumba dale dakaba kina lema kanda dakab. Balat sarga ni singa ni dona connection ito ko veko but kena watimu may ko kan ngona watingo ngona luvengo o ngona nongobula. Ali tiko na equation kwa ya. All the time, you are always part of the equation. It's like you plus me equals I. The same person. So everything that you make, the decision that you make, the action that you actually take out are based on that very thing. That it's only you. And sometimes you'll see a family broken up, go and start your own family, or look at a mom, just leave everybody and just go and start a family, and leaving the husband with the children to look after. We used to have a gentleman that comes to us, I think about how many years ago? Yeah. Every time, whenever he sees us in town, or if we're having coffee or sitting and having conversation, he will come and he will be standing, next to Gaselev. I don't really know him personally, but after he's gone, Gaselev will turn to me and say, this gentleman is actually just looking after his children on his own. The wife is a teacher and just went, moved on with another man and just left the children with him. And every time, like he cannot find that peace. I mean, who wouldn't find that peace being thrown with that responsibility? And every time, as and when he sees us, he's always coming to Gaselevu to ask for prayers and ask for prayers and ask for prayers. And you may be the same, going through the same, listening to us today. And lebu weekend, raro sarang amin, the bitir to na nonda matapupali, balatangon, and the second vingoma, the responsibility and on, the nanomatungan in the ngalala, the nanomatungan in the ngoneleon, the nanomatungan the durbo, but most of the time, our parents were actually looking after your children. And when you do look out again, you are not keyed or not bonded to your current husband or to your current wife. You are actually looking out at other relationship and starting another new relationship. So when you're faced with the reality, having children here and having the very children from your first husband, some of us have even gone down to the third and fourth relationship. Well, that's your decision. Maybe you listen to us today instead of, find out, that's me, that's my decision. It's nothing to do with you too. Thank you. Yes, we understand that. But as and when you go down that lane, lane or are being faced with that, at the end of the day, there are children that are actually looking at you, being affected by the first, by the second, by the third. And you as a husband, or you as a father, or you as a mother, when you leave all these children around, try to, feel responsible for them. Even though you are not looking after them, they're somewhere there with your parents, or maybe with their aunt, or maybe all over the place. They have to go different ways to be looked after. Like say for we are talking about something, that actually happened in our lives as well. We are not angels talking to you people today. We are same as well as you. What Gaselev shared this morning, we are not here as ministry leaders or, believers. We are here just as a grandmother, grandfather, or a father and a mother, or a wife and a husband that you can relate to. Like what I said, I have my eldest daughter and had 3 boys, and they were divided. 1 stayed with me and 2 with their father. And just walking away from their responsibility. Somebody needs to look after these children, which we came, we step up and we did that. Now the 2 boys are back with us. And those are the situations that these children never choose to come through or choose for them to have in their life. But situation has thrown them to that, to that effect. If they have a choice, and I used to remember when the 2 boys used to come home for the weekend and they were with their father, going back every Sunday, oh man, I hate that feeling. It's such a bad feeling. It's like I just don't like that feeling. They'll be saying bye to, my grandchildren to go back and to see them saying bye to each other. It's the most, for me as a grandmother, it's the most painful experience. I dread those moments when they need to go. And sometimes it can be right late into the night when their father is calling or reminding us, the school tomorrow and the boys are still not home. And we're looking at the time, it's 8 or 9 o'clock and we have to drop them or, to be dropped off with their father. that moment of just seeing them going their separate ways and saying goodbye to each other. And because Joshua stayed with us and Othniel and Nisha stayed with their dad. And they used to go together in the car. Joshua will just go for the sake of seeing them off. And sometimes it's very difficult, just to say bye to them. Even though they're meeting again on Friday, just after a few days, they're meeting again. They meet every weekend for the boys to come back home. But those moments is to be so, I don't want to describe it. And then I wasn't ready to take the whole lot of them because there was just so many responsibilities that I was facing at that time. And I was traveling in from Nandi between two homes, and I was not ready to take them on. And now when they are all with me, then I see that,
Bonding.
that bonding, that complete, that I didn't realize. And sometimes I apologize to them, and I ask, and I tell them, forgive me. I could have gotten you earlier. I could have asked for you to come and join Joshua earlier, and forgive me for not doing that. And maybe, children, you will listen to me today. You're no longer with your brother or your sister because you have to be placed in families that can look after you. Apart from missing your parents because you're no longer with your parents and you're no longer with your siblings. Oh, it's a far cry from, finding solace and peace in your heart. There's always an emptiness there that no one can fill. I had my grandson with me. I brought him up from birth, and he stays with me. And even in the nights, and from the early stage of his life, we used to hold hands on my bed to pray every night throughout his primary school. And whenever we are holding hands to pray, the first thing that comes out of his mouth is his mom and his dad. And regardless of what I can buy, I got him to travel with us wherever we go. He was only 2 years old, and he was already traveling with us. We went all over the world in our travel. And whatever that I can offer, whatever I can afford to bring to him, I wasn't able to fill that space, the void that was in his heart, that was left empty by his parents, and especially so by his mom. And every time as we eat, or every time as we enjoy, and he will be saying, oh, I wonder what mom will be eating, or I wonder whether we can take this to mom. And even when we were, I can remember, I don't know whether Gasile can remember, we were in England, and we had a youth program that they needed to go for an excursion. And then we were having our conference. Yeah. And I gave him his spending money, and I told him, look, you buy this and that and that and that. And use this for spending money. So I gave him, £100. I gave him £100 for his spending. And they went, group of children, the youth group, they went out. And when I got back to the hotel, when we met in the afternoon, he was so excited. He came running to me. He came running and said, Nana, look what I bought. And when I look at him, I was, I assumed that he was going to buy something, for him, or buy something. And when I look at him, and he was in class 7 or class 8 then, when I looked to him, and I saw, a packet of perfume. And this perfume, when we were getting off at the airport, I saw this billboard, advertising this perfume, opium, black opium. And I know fully well how much it costs. So I look at that perfume, and I said, who is that for? How much was it? He said, Nana, it was on special. And I bought it for mommy. I stood there, and I was just staring at him, and I said, I gave you the money to buy something for you. And then he looked at me and said, no, I bought it for mommy. So everywhere we go, whichever country we go to, whenever he comes back, he's always buying something for his mom and his dad. His mom and his dad. And he thinks about his grandparents from his dad's side. And he's always buying things like that. And that is something that I cannot change. I can provide as many things for him, but I wasn't able to fill that void that he missed his parents, and he missed it badly, and I cannot stop that. And I believe that goes to the children that are actually listening in today, and also to you parents. It's so easy for you to think of yourself and say, okay, it doesn't work with you. I can easily get another wife. It doesn't work with you. I can easily get another husband. It doesn't work with you. I can easily start another family. But you have these children that, broken, they're hurt, they cannot find any peace in their heart. And they cannot bring themselves to ask for anything. And I remember the early stage in getting my two boys, the two younger brothers, to come and stay with us. And they'll be walking around the house, and, like for me, they are my grandchildren, which means the access and the right that my eldest grandchild had when he was staying with me, it applies to everybody who are my grandchildren. And they will be walking around and say, people don't want to eat this, or you don't want to have some fruits, or you don't want to, and they'll be looking and say, oh, can we have it? And I said, come, you help yourself. Like it's there, they cannot bring themselves to come and ask. And this I have noticed for children, that are not together, brought up in a family that the parents are not together. When they are made to go and stay with other families, or when they walk into a setup that is involving a family, they don't know how to fit in. And they feel like nobody is looking after them. And they feel that emptiness. What if I ask and I'm refused? I don't have any right to, qualify for that because that belongs to that child. And I believe, like in school, when they are in school and they have Parents' Day, and they will have parents coming in, to see their friends and to get their school report. And that is one thing that I'm always worried about Joshua growing up. When I'm sitting there and I'm always asking Gasile, we'll try as much as possible to be there for him. And when I'm not there, I thank my daughters, and they'll fill in their shoes. The aunties will come and be there for them. I'm always, and I cannot control his mind, I'm always dreading the fact that he's sitting there and he see parents of his friends to come and take their school report. And I cannot stop the question that he asks his mind, what about me? Why does it happen to me? What about my parents? But I'm really grateful for my son-in-law. Regardless, sometimes we never had the time to tell him about their school, graduation or their prize giving or their birthdays because he lives with me. But he'll always find the time. Even if we don't advise him, he'll always find the time. Na constant prize giving. He's standing there, or he'll come and say, I heard about the prize giving. Or even in the birthdays, we get so carried away because he lives with us. And we'll be having our birthday party, and he'll pop up and he'll say, I know today is Joshua's birthday. And so come. And like that, parents, so easy for us to walk away because of the decision you make today. And I would like to leave that with you today. We have 5 minutes left, and I'll pass to Gaslevo. I just want to post that question in your heart. For you to please be convicted that you're leaving behind a child. You're leaving behind a human being that has feelings. You're leaving behind a person that didn't ask. That child never asked, even given a choice, if we are given a choice before we enter the face of the earth. If they were given a choice to be told, look, you will be born to these parents, and they will leave each other. Are you willing to, be part of it? I believe most will not, because they didn't ask to be part of the family that they're in now. And they never asked, and they never chose in the situation that they're in. And sometimes it can be so lonely. The life can be so lonely. And I would like to post that to you. And maybe some parents, one of us have passed on, and you know that you cannot handle all your children, and you need to divide your children amongst your family so they can find means of living to be better, or to help you in financing their upbringing. And sometimes it can be the situation that forces you to make the decision to separate your children. But you will never know the repercussion that it has in them as individuals to grow up differently and not having that completeness of growing up as a family. And then I want to live with you. At the end of the day, one day you will stand before God for the responsibility that He had trusted on you as a father or as a mother, or even you have a child out of wedlock and you don't have anybody to help you. Take that responsibility and take it on yourself, because that child, even though he didn't ask to come into the face of the world, you made the decision, and it was your decision that had made and created that child to be your child. So you should be responsible, and you should be accountable, and you shouldn't forget them. Or maybe you were too young to look after them and you've moved on with life. When you were good, please go back and revisit your children and revisit their lives. And some of us, we never contributed to their upbringing. They were brought up by their grandparents, brought up by somebody else, made something out of their life. while you never contributed at all. And then you are the receiver because their name, they still carry your name. No one can erase the fact that because they are your children and you are proud of them. And sometimes it's wrong when you just come into the end part of the picture and splash their photos around because they are your children, while they have gone through their whole lifetime by somebody else's investment and time. And goes back to us today on the Family Table Talk, the decisions you make that not only affect you, it affects the people around you. So I'll give this time to Nkasilevu to also share and round up our Family Table Talk this morning.
The decision that you make will shape your tomorrow.
Amen.
And it's very important of the decision that you make depends on the friends that you keep. And we just want to encourage you. Next week again, Family Table Talk. It's a time that we talk about topics that will assist us and will guide us and put some insight in what we can change now.
Yeah.
That it's always never late that you can start. You can start by changing, make sure that you have the right people around you. Because the people around you will influence your life and will change your decision. Because the decision will determine your destination.
Yeah.
The destination that you'll face tomorrow depends on the decision today. But the decision today depends on the friends and the people that you keep. So until next week, we encourage you to continue to share this program, Family Table Talk, to those people that are going through hard times, that it's never too late to start.
Yes.
And we believe whatever we share from here, we're not pointing finger
Yeah.
at anybody. We are only here to share the things that we go through that may be beneficial to anybody that you are out there. So until next week, 7:30, Family Table Talk. Have a blessed and a wonderful weekend.
Naka. Better the communication, the better
the
the
husband
family.
and wife relationship is good. Regardless of what the children will face, the family will face, we have the capacity, we have the ability to go over any mountain, to go through any valley, and to go through any storm or weather that we face in this life.